that was quick, painless, easy and free. Hi to everybody. I'm thrilled to welcome back Danny Buckler. I can't believe we left it so long.
I know, right?
Yeah, in today's show, I'll be asking Danny to share some of his manifesting stories and how they can help you to create consciously. Also, if you can see it in your mind, does it really already exist? I used to doubt this until I heard Mr. Buckler share one of his adventures. We might also persuade Danny to show some card magic. I'm sure we'll also have some fascinating and fun conversations. For those not familiar with Danny B, here's a brief background. He's a stand-up comedian traveling the world with his comedy show. As an accomplished magician and member of the Magic Circle. He's a writer for the Channel 4 TV show 8 out of 10 Cats Does Countdown. My Spidey senses tells me an appearance might actually be on the cards, but we'll find out together live. Danny has had his own TV show back in the day, Danny Does Magic. And last but by no means least, Danny's conscious and hosts workshops on how to manifest spiritual principles, not least Taoism. So there's so much to stick around for. Welcome to the show, Danny.
Thank you, mate. How have you been?
Yeah, I've been great. I've been awesome. Tip top, better for seeing you.
I love your flat that you live in.
It's a green screen.
Changes every time. You've got rid of the piano.
Yeah, I got rid of the piano. Yeah, it was just a dust collector.
Now you appear to have a sea view. Or am I mistaken?
What, sorry?
Now you appear to have a sea view.
Yeah, sea view on the green screen background, yeah. Aye. What's with the duck?
This is my gender. This is Mushin, the smartest duck in the world because he has no mind. And I talk to him on my videos sometimes.
Right.
I've got a little YouTube channel and Lucian is in that, and I talk to him and he answers me.
Good. Cool. Right, I want to start off. How long have you been performing for now, Danny? Do you ever get nervous before you go onto a show, especially big audiences?
I get nervous. I get excited now. I used to get nervous. I get excited. The thing still happens. I've just relabeled it. What happens is, when you're going out to face a massive group of people, at least for me, it's different for everyone, but at least for me, when you're going out to face a big old group, I do work for some very big groups. It could be anything between, sometimes it's 40 people, but sometimes it's a couple of thousand. And what happens is the body goes into, it's fight or flight. The ego senses risk. You're about to go out and expose yourself in front of strangers. You're about to go on stage and say, I have this. And the audience is entitled to say, we don't like it, mate. You have no idea how it's going to go. So the adrenaline gets released and all the other chemicals and the various processes that happen in the universe that is our nervous system. And but then there's the story. And the story can be, oh my God, I'm terrified. Or the story can be, here we go, I'm excited. And I choose to go with the I'm excited option now. I used to try and get rid of it. I thought it was wrong, that kind of explosion of, but it's not wrong, it's natural. It's what's supposed to happen. It's turning everything on. You know what I mean? Those chemicals are turning on the sight, the sound, the senses, the smell. It's a good thing. It's a superpower. It's rocket fuel. But if you tell yourself the wrong story, you'll snarl yourself up. So I actually don't tell myself any story now. I just be with it. I went through the whole phase. I used to get nervous, and I was like, I've got to tell myself a different story. Now, whatever happens, just happens. It becomes like a wave that you surf.
Cool. Yeah, if you don't get nervous or excited, maybe check your pulse.
With it.
Yeah.
A lot of people have social anxiety, especially now after 2 years banged up. When we're all communicating via screens. Now, a lot of people are having a hard time in the real world communicating with each other. And it's the same thing. It's just, the sensations of the awkwardness. It's just a sensation. And it's the story you tell yourself about what it means.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You were... Sorry?
You get nervous doing these?
I used to. Not anymore, but it can strike at the most bizarre random times. I've done literally hundreds of these in-person workshops and things, and most of the time I'm not, but it can just happen. You think, Really? I'm nervous. It's just bizarre. So, but you had a presentation the other night. Is there anything you can share about that presentation, or that's not presentation, some kind of event?
Yes, I was at the press launch. I am not. I have a very I've been keeping it quiet, but there was a press launch on Tuesday, so I might as well let people know. I've just played a very small role in a sitcom called Meet the Richardsons.
Right.
Is the story of the Richardsons, John and Lucy Richardson, who are both friends of mine in life. And it's on Dave, and it's a sitcom, and I am joining the cast this year. For and hopefully we'll be coming back in the series after as well. But at the end of this series, I'm introduced, and then hopefully we'll be in it again. Very small part. I don't want to spoil it because it's a very good story. It's the episode I'm in is really good, and the story's really good, and the way I'm introduced is a surprise. It's nice.
Yeah. So the lesson.
It's not a surprise. You don't know who I am until the end, kind of thing. But it'll be going out on Halloween night this year. It's the Halloween special.
Right. Cool. Yeah. Is that something you consciously, deliberately manifested?
Oh, God, yes. Everything is consciously manifested, Danny.
Yes.
We're manifesting 24/7. It's not a thing you do for half an hour at the weekend. It's how you live your life.
Yeah.
Or it's nothing. There's Deborah Twist. Speaking of manifest, I just manifested Deborah Twist. There you go. She enters my thoughts and she enters my reality. That's how it goes.
Hi, Deb. Thanks for tuning in. It's lovely to see your name. Oh, I've got Sam Whittaker as well.
Oh. There's another one. You see, it's about how you live your life. The manifesting thing. People think it's just something you do sat on the couch when you're low. You know what I mean? They wait until they've got a gas bill, and then, but it's not. Conscious creation is a 24/7 job. You know, we're creating this right now. We are right now creating this. We can either do it consciously or asleep. You look at Sam's community. Sam runs a thing you don't know called the chakra rooms in Ram's Bottom. It's incredible. It's incredible. It's rooms. It's a community. It's teachers of every stripe. They all come there to share their stuff, all generated by her. From an idea that she brought from her imagination into the real world, how everyone else can see it, which is what magic is.
Yeah. We've got Juliet Owens in the house. Hi, Danny and Danny. Hi, Juliet. Thank you for joining.
Everyone's here. This is lovely.
Yes.
They've all come to see you. Flat then.
Yeah, that's right. So what is So what does the creative process look like for you, Danny? You know, if you're like writing for a program to create a stand-up show.
Well, it varies. What it is. So I am very influenced by a lot of people. One of them, the guy I think puts it best is the comic book writer Alan Moore is a practicing magician, a cult magician. And a very good one and all. And he described it recently as the idea is that you can take magic is taking something from out of the imagination and bringing it down into the real world where other people can see it. That's what magic is, and that's also what creating art is. And I happen to view life as art at the moment. At the moment, anyway, I'm going on this tip that life is art. And so if I want to create, say, a show, I'll kind of just start to imagine what's the show that I would like to see. And I get my notebook out, and writing is magic as well. But when you start to write something down, it writes itself. The actual process of putting pen to paper, it starts to write itself. So I start to write down random ideas, and then things will start to join up, and then you'll have a thing. You'll have brought it down into the real world. You'll have manifested these ideas onto a page that you can then manifest into actuality. And then real magic happens because people pay to see it. You've created money out of nothing.
Yeah, true. True. Do you have any top tips for people watching on how to consciously create, consciously manifest? I know you said we're doing it all the time anyway, but just like things that may have worked for you better than others, or any ninja.
This is a lifetime study, so it's not always worked for me. And I realised that I was actually manifesting. Once you accept that you're doing it all the time anyway, because you are, you live in your imagination. You live in, none of us ever see base reality. None of us do, ever. Even the Zen monks are perceiving it through the Zen monk filter, Once you realise you're doing that, I realised that magic worked and that I was doing it poorly, basically, because I was having a lot of negative thoughts and a lot of negative things were happening. I was cursing. But once you accept that you're doing that and take some responsibility for it, you can begin to shift things out there. And the way you shift things out there is by starting to shift things in here. And ultimately, you want to transcend this. You want to get really, that's the real key to it, but you've got to meet people where they're at, and most people aren't ready for this. But the real key to it is get completely out of the way, and then life becomes a self-manifesting happening. You don't need to think about it anymore, it just happens. But people, people are where they are. You don't want to kind of jump the gun. But a nice preliminary stage is to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. This is an idea that Neville Goddard. I've done a few videos on this on my YouTube channel. Because thinking is the tip of the iceberg. Conscious thoughts come last. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
We're always slightly behind. The feelings come first. The thought comes second. But there's such a tight gap between them. It feels like it's the other way around. This is neurology. This is how it works. This is not pie in the sky. So if you can sit and imagine yourself into the feeling state of if the thing is already achieved, so your neurology is in that place, then the thoughts that arise out of that feeling will lead you in the direction you need to go. So the best way to create something is to assume it's already created and then sit down and get about it. Imagine how you'd feel if it was done. Imagine how it feels to be in that creative space where the ideas are flowing. And then the nervous system starts to serve up how you get there. Does that make sense?
It does, yes. It definitely does. Thanks, Danny. What are you like when things go quiet and things aren't working and your creativity seems to stop? Are you impatient and like me? Because I get impatient and I think, why has it stopped? And I start telling myself stories that don't serve me. Can you just kind of go with the flow, or how are you like?
You can think yourself into anything. You can think yourself into a heart attack if you're not careful. So, pardon me, nicely timed belch, but a spontaneous belch in this moment, and I'm not going to edit it. Hang on a second, let me get all tuned in. That's what I do. I do that. I tune in. I'm doing it now. That's what I do. When the flow stops. When I'm blocked, I used to try and push through it, but that doesn't work. So I go quiet. I sit. I become a blank. I become an opening. I don't exist anymore. I become very quiet. I read. I watch things on telly. I go for a walk. You know what I mean? I just am. And I wait. And I try and get into an attitude of waiting, prayerful waiting. I don't mean waiting as in just sitting on my ass doing nothing. I mean literally waiting, expecting something to come. And it does, generally, within a couple of days. You need to be quiet to hear it.
Yeah.
You need to be quiet to hear the creative impulse. If you're not quiet, you can't hear it. If you're in the front of your head, babbling on about this should be happening, that should be happening, why is that not working? Where am I? What's this? How am I going to pay for that bill then? That's too much static through the telly. And when there's static on the screen, you can't see the picture. So the key is to go quiet. The key is to allow. The key is to go quiet, and the key to going quiet is to allow. You can't fight thoughts. They're what's happening now. So all you can do is be with them, and in being with them, becoming the witness of them. Once you witness something, it becomes an object, and once it's an object, it starts to calm down. And then the real you can get involved and can guide you forward. Am I making sense? I feel a bit like I'm all over the place.
No, you're making perfect sense. I've watched quite a few of your podcasts on YouTube and other places. And one of the things I'd love you to share about, I don't want to spoil the punchline, but you talked about, well, from my perspective, I used to doubt that if you can see something in your mind, if you can visualize it, there's more, at least an element of truth in it. Otherwise, you couldn't visualize it. You happen to have a wonderful manifesting story that is based around that. Do you know where I'm going with that?
Yeah, there's a couple of those. Which one is it?
Feel which one of you feel most.
Is it the island?
Yeah.
The island one. Yeah, I'll tell you this one. This is the truth. I'll tell you this. So this is a big moment for me. This is the thing. I was having this conversation about 3 days ago, funnily enough, in a bookshop that I frequent in London. That magical thinking, magical ideas, they tend to be so the middle class are comfortable, so they're fine. You know what I mean? They're comfortable, everything's taken care of, they're fine. You know, of course you can be a bloody Dr. Godfrey. If it doesn't work out, there's a place for you in Barrett and Sons solicitors. You're one for nothing, dear. And the second, so they want them. So that's the way life is for them. It's lovely. But the working classes have no aid. They tend to be very drawn to magic. You get an awful lot of magical practice in working class houses. Most working class houses have got a lucky something to bring money in. You know, they've got a lucky charm somewhere. They believe in spirits and things of this nature. And the very upper class is the same. It's just the ones in the middle that tend to not. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I was in the lower bracket. I was in the lower stint, very poor family. So holidays weren't a thing. We never went away. I didn't leave the country until my late 20s, you know. Just never had a holiday. Didn't happen. No holidays. Just didn't happen. For reasons that I won't go into now. But at night, we used to live in this masonette, this council masonette, and at night, because I had trouble sleeping, I would visualise, I would imagine myself, and this is before any kind of spiritual ideas had entered my life, but I would imagine myself on a Caribbean beach, because the Caribbean was so exotic to me. And I imagined that, it was an imaginary beach. It was one that I completely created out of my imagination. So perfect sand with no detritus on it, perfect creamy sea, perfectly placed palm trees, not a cloud in the sky, me lying my back on the beach. And I would visualise the sea coming in. And as it went out, it was taking my attention with it. So every time the tide came in, it came in a little further. And that's how I'd go to sleep at night. And I would see this fantasy beach and the smells of it, the fresh air, very vivid, with no intention of manifesting this. Because another key to that whole thing is being free of lust for result, which we can get into if you want. But so I was just casually visualising this beach, visualising it and going to sleep. And then the circumstances, this is the thing, the circumstances of my life have arranged themselves, or I arranged them, and I don't see the two as separate. I'm into non-duality in Taoism. Events and me aren't separate happenings. It's one thing arising spontaneously together. But the happening arranged itself, so I end up becoming an entertainer, and then becoming an entertainer that worked on cruise ships, and then becoming an entertainer that worked for Disney. Now, Disney's cruise line was new. It didn't exist. Most of the other cruise lines are old. And Disney's cruise line was brand new when I started working for them. So there were these ships, and a part of the cruise, their cruise experience is you go to Castaway Cay, which is a Caribbean island that Disney owns, that they built. They bought the island. It was a rundown island, and they did it up, and they created this resort, Castaway Cay. So my first contract for them, they flew me out there. So first of all, I've not touched my wallet. I'm flown out to America. I joined the ship, and off we sail. I'm on the Disney Magic. which is a ship I love to this day. The Disney Magic's my favourite ship. And we sail into Castaway Key, and off I get. I go for a wander. There's an adult beach. There's a family beach, which is all sort of kids and inflatables and stuff. And they had the ship from Pirates of the Caribbean there. It was moored there for a little while. That's how long back. It's not there now, but it was there. That's all very impressive and amazing. But I want to get to the adult beach, so I go for the walk there. To get to the adult beach, you go over this sand dune. So I go over the sand dune, and when I see it, it was like being punched in the chest because it was my fantasy beach. I swear to you, it was the beach that I had visualized every night of my childhood dozing off. Everything about it. The sand, the placement of the palm trees, the quality of the water, the color of the water, the temperature of the water, even the breeze. It was like I've walked into a virtual reality here. Like I've taken my imagination out there, boom, and there it is. Now, when I was imagining that beach did not exist anywhere in the world. There was no such beach as that. And here I am standing on it. And as I was living my life, and I was working a photocopier and getting into show business and then getting into comedy and as I was doing that, Disney was looking for an island. They bought it. They were fixing it up. They were making it into a resort. These things were happening independently of each other. And then they came together. Did I create the beach? Did the beach create me? You know? Was it a simultaneous happening? Was I tuning in to a future event? When I was imagining that beach, was I actually tuning in to a future me that would go there? This is the model I really like. The idea it's not reality, it's reality selection. That there are multiple pathways available, and that we select one. So did my nervous system select the pathway that would lead me to this beach that was being created? Was I seeing a future me when I was doing the imagining? You know what I mean? There's so many. All I know is the moment itself, standing on that beach, was wordless. It was a moment of genuine. I just synced up with it. It was a real enlightening experience. It felt like, I just synced up with reality itself. That, oneness.
Yeah, that's incredible.
It was just weird. I wasn't consciously trying to get to the beat. It just happened. When you release these things, they just seem to happen, A big part of it is the letting go. The letting go of need, the lack of need is very important. It's also a very hard place to get to, but it should be the easiest place in the world to get to. But, the conditioning is deep. The programming we've received is deep, but the lack of need is a major key. No one wants to feed the hungry dog.
Yeah, that's an incredible story. I'm pleased you shared it again for those who haven't heard it. And my version of that story is, that was about 20 plus years ago. I was reading the Handbook of the Urban Warrior from our friend Stephen Russell. And as I was reading it, I got my mind, one day you'll work with the barefoot doctor. And I remember thinking, yeah, right, chance to be a fine thing. So, I just kind of forgot about that insight, that, in a prompting, call it what you will. And then 20 plus years fast forward, and there I am waiting on a Zoom call for Stephen to turn up to do our first live stream together. And I remember, it popped back into my mind. I was like, oh my God, I got that 20 years ago.
Yeah. We had that. We had that thing when the first day I met him. I'm sure I've told you this story loads of times, but the first day I met him, do you want to meet him in person?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I met him at Ramsbottom, yeah.
In Ramsbottom? Oh, lovely. In the rooms?
We did a live stream together. He was staying in a B&B, not an Airbnb. And then we met up with Sam and we went out for some coffee and some lunch. Yeah.
Lovely. He's good at putting stuff together like that, is our Sam.
Yeah, definitely.
When I met him, because I found that book, I just failed my driving test, the written driving test. I was 20. I was 21 when I met him, so I was 20. I was pissed off, and I've been heartbroken as well, as happens when you're 20. And I imagine that book, that Urban Warrior book, was in a bookshop. I went to a bookshop to cheer myself up because they were still a thing then. And no, Amazon. You kids don't know what it's like. It's all on bloody Kindle. We had to put in a shift to get the information. I went in, and it was in the wrong section. I was looking in the college. What was I looking at? I was looking for something. Anyway, the Urban Warrior book was in the wrong section. Oh, well, I flicked through it. Loved it. Loved the look of it. Bought it. And just loved it. That book became my Bible for the next 6 months. And I saw that he was doing an event. And I imagined that I was going to meet him. I went down to this event. It was at a bar called Jago in the East End. And he walked in the door, and he walked up to me. And he went, I know you. We haven't met. I know you. And I said to him, we've not met. And he goes, no, but I know you. We're going to be brothers. That's the first thing he said to me. And then he always said it was like just a feeling he got. He walked in the room, there's always he saw me, and for some reason he just felt this resonance. So again, it's one of those manifesting. And then we were friends for whatever it was, 26 years. 26, where I'd speak to him literally I spoke to him at least 3 times a week, and I'd see him at least every other week. And we went out in Spain, I've got loads of stories, but for that moment, it was like, who's manifesting what? You know what I mean? In the flow of things. I think back about it, and at the time, I just assumed it was a lovely thing that happened. But given what happened afterwards, I think that was obviously meant. And yeah, it was an odd one. That it's very interesting. The synchronicities, all the things that have to line up for these things to happen. You know what I mean? I go to a different bookshop, or I go to a different shelf, and none of that happens. None of that happens.
Yeah, you've got to keep putting yourself out there for synchronicities and better luck in inverted commas to come your way if you sit in the house. You know, it's not going to happen. Is it?
All that happens is nothing. Nothing much. Well, that's not true now. We've got Zoom. But
yeah, I know what you mean.
And being present is a massive key to everything. Presence is the master key. Is the master key. Just genuine presence, not fake presence, not faking it. Just being with what is. It's bizarre that when you're with this, when you're with what is, with no desire to change it, it changes by itself.
Bingo. That's exactly it. Yeah.
It's free from desire is a massive key to manifestation. So, like, if you desire an object, like let's say you desire something, like I don't know, what do most people when they're doing the manifesting thing want? Let's say it's like a car. Yeah, I want a new car. So I visualize a new car, and then I get my new car, and I'm happy for all of 10 minutes. You know what I mean? Because then I know there's a scratch on the car, or it's not quite the colour that I wanted, or there's something wrong with the car, or someone else has got the car. I don't like them. That neighbour of mine borrows the lawnmower. He's got the same car. Bastard! I want to be the guy on the street with this car. He's always doing that to me. So the happiness disappears. What was the happiness? When you got the car, what was the happiness? And I've come to understand it was because you no longer wanted it. You have it. When you stop wanting it, happiness can arise. And what we want ultimately is the happiness. So happiness is freedom from the desires. But weirdly, when you become free from the desires tend to happen. Does that make sense?
Yeah, detachment.
You can't break free from the desires. You can't be pretending to yourself, I don't really care about that, but in your heart you do. It has to be a genuine freedom from the desire. One of the keys to Austin Spare's whole system of magic. Austin Spare was, you know that name?
No, I can't say I do not.
People that suck eggs. very briefly, he was an occultist and an artist, more importantly, a beautiful, brilliant artist. And he came up with he had a whole system of magic that he wrote down, and he was a philosopher as well as an artist. He made his money from his art, but his system of magic became one of the founding sort of, his ideas went on to spawn the chaos magic current in the 70s. He was before all that. And he wrote it up in a few books. The Book of Pleasure is one. Zos Speaks is another. There's a few of them. And they are incomprehensible. They're unreadable. He couldn't write for shit. And he was mad. But they're incomprehensible until you realise he was a Taoist. But he wasn't a Taoist in the traditional sense. He worked it out for himself. So what we would call the Tao, he called the Kia. He created a word for this formless thing that, you know, is beyond words. The Tao that can be spoken is not the true Tao. So he would call it the Kia because he had to call it something for sentences to make sense. And the biggest key to his magic was the end of his spells. He called the sigils, which is a way to remove desire from a desire, if you like.
Yeah.
So you take some desire and reduce it to a glyph. And then you focus on you let go of the desire completely and you focus on the glyph. I've got a couple of videos on that on my channel if anyone's interested, and I'll do some more about it. But the end of his spell, he had a little enchantment. That was always, he always got to the end of it, he'd done his work, he'd always say, does not matter, need not be. He genuinely let it go. Doesn't matter, need not be. I've done the spell, but does not matter, need not be. And then would live his life content whether it happened or not. And when he was content whether it would happen or not, genuinely content whether it happened or not, it happened. That's a lovely little phrase, that it does not matter, need not be.
It is.
So that if I'm doing something towards something, like a little thing to help nudge the synchronicities in my favour, I always end it with that. Doesn't matter, need not be. Banish any desire for a result.
Yeah. Or it's how quickly you get over disappointments or frustrations. I had a really frustrating, to the nth degree, situation on Friday. But by the time I got back home, within 5-10 minutes, I genuinely was able to let it go. Whereas in the past, you know, probably would have dragged on all day. I would have been you know, having an argument in my head and dragging it back up and getting frustrated. But
yeah.
It's the stories you tell yourself, isn't it, that can stop your manifestations from coming. You know, like, oh, I'm not good enough, or it happens to other people, it doesn't happen to me. It's when you can just observe those stories and just let them pass through you.
Well, that's the key, because when you wake, the idea of awakening fully, I don't like the word enlightenment very much.
Yeah.
Because people imagine that, you know, once you're enlightened, you can talk like this, very soft voice, and no one can tell you exactly what it is. But the idea of awakening is a better term. Being awake is the place to be, because when you're awake, when you really see what everything actually is, when you see through the sphere of sensation, when you see through the beliefs and the thoughts and the wishes and the hopes, and you get see through it all. You see it all as impermanent, not you. You know, just arising in this. Everything's just arising. Everything's just happening. And then you see that there's actually no essential. There's actually no one in here doing it either. There's no essential self. It's just what's happening. There's thoughts, impressions, sensations happening to what? And the witness is an intermediary stage. But there's something beyond that, when the witness itself is witness. You know? And then you get really back into what, for want of a better word, we call the Tao. But the Tao that can be spoken is not the Tao. Even me putting a label on it, a word collapses it down. It's not. It's beyond that. When you and that are one, when it's all just happening, when you are it, then you become like a cloud. So when these negative things happen, they move through you like you're a cloud. when you're there as an individual entity, they stick. It's happening to me. There is a me that this person is doing this to. And this is my anger and my response to what this person has done. And the key there is not the anger or the response. The key there is the me that is having the anger and the response. And once you see through that me, and all that me is another belief to be transcended. When that me goes, everything else goes. And then things just seem to, negative things can still happen. You can still get caught up in traffic, there will still be a little flare of anger, but it arises and it passes away in the second of its arising. It's self-liberating. Do I live in this space, Danny Green? Do I fuck? I don't. I'm not going to lie. But I seem to, vacillate between living in conditioning and living in that space. And I'm now in that space more than I'm in the conditioning. Does that make sense?
Totally. And I'm the same. I don't live in this space. I still get frustrated, angry, and all the spectrum of emotions. But as you say, it rises and then falls away. It rises and then falls away. Yeah.
Just today, there's an issue with there's a show I'm doing soon and the billing. And I thought, of course I'm closing this show. There's clearly no quality. And then I get the running order through and I'm opening this. I'm not closing, I'm opening. Someone else is closing. Some of the less impressive CV let me at you. So there I am, at one with the Dow, enjoying my day. I see this one little email telling me where I'm on in the lineup, and my inner me, my conditioning comes right up. My inner little shithouse comes right up. What are they talking about? What the bloody hell is this? I was supposed to be on top of this, but I'm going to pull out. Let's see you find someone better. Let's see you find someone. Oh, yeah. Good luck at this notice. I'm off. But then I observe this. I see the me. The me arises. It takes ownership of all this. But then the witnesses the me, if you like. Oh, there it is. The conditioned me arising again. And then what is behind the witness comes along. And then it becomes like a cloud. Do you know what I mean? It's a story and it's some sensations and and then it dissipates because it's weather. It's weather. Do you know what I mean? And like all weather, it dissipates and it changes just by allowing it to change. And then you're back on the saddle again and I'll do this show and I'll open and whatever happens. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And hopefully one day I'll transcend that last bit of conditioning and then, I'll be an enlightened master.
Maybe they chose you to open the show because you're dynamic and you'll get the energy flow and you'll get your place in uproar for you set the tone right.
Maybe one of a billion, maybe the other person's got to get a train or something, or maybe they're going to be late. It doesn't, you never know. But the point of the story is not that. The point of the story is that the conditioning is powerful and it arises and it wants to take ownership of events. And then, but it's false. It's just conditioning. It's just another belief to be transcended. Having no beliefs is the ultimate.
Yeah, exactly.
That's where Taoism lives. That's what Taoism's all about. The Tao Te Ching. It's all in the Tao Te Ching. That's the one thing that me and Stephen didn't quite agree on. One thing, 26. A minor niggle, but I think the Tao Te Ching is one of the greatest things you can possibly have in your life. Really, he didn't like it at all. He thought the Tao Te Ching had nothing to do with Taoism. Just one of his little quirks, but interesting, isn't it?
It is.
Because the Tao Te Ching is more of a philosophical tract, and he was very into the energy and the energy loops and the Tai Chi and the exercises and the channeling and the path. Whereas they're two sort of schools of Taoism, both of which I love. But whereas the Tao Te Ching is more of a philosophical, contemplative, quiet, and he was all about the fireworks. Not right or wrong. I'm not trying to. That wasn't being different. Not right or wrong. Just a different. That was. I just really enjoyed the Tao Te Ching, and he was often not there for it.
Exactly. Why would you be the same? You different upbringings, different things are going to resonate more or less. Yeah, exactly.
I'm thinking, wow.
Something else you do as well is or did do to a lesser or a greater extent is magic. I don't know if you happen to have a trick for us. Card magic.
Yeah, I can show you a trick. Can I see a trick?
Yeah.
I don't know what comments. I've been in the private chat and now I see the comments. Trisha, itchy. Teresa. Hey, Teresa. And Kenny Goldson as well. Lovely. This is nice, isn't it?
Yes.
On the same.
The gangs here. Yep. Deborah,
Nice.
Sam and Juliet as well.
Nice. What do you say, Mooshin? What should we do? Hey?
Yeah, Sam Shane shows a trick, Danny.
Nominate somebody in the comments. Who's still in the house?
That's,
Are they all watching? Who's actually watching now, Dan? Can you tell?
I know how many people's on the stream, but I don't know if it's all the people in the chat still. I would imagine so.
Right, let's go with let's see. Deborah Twist, are you still here? If you are, give us a thumbs up. I bet she's gone. She's stateside. Probably 2 a.m. where she is.
Well, it dropped down when he said.
Craig Whitehead, right, Craig Whitehead Khan has stepped up. Craig Whitehead Khan, you're the man for this. Oh, Deborah Twist is still here. Too late, Deborah. Craig Whitehead Khan has entered the fray. Right. Craig Whitehead Khan, concentrate for me, if you will. I'm going to try and reach out through this screen into the quantum realm. Boom, 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 boom. Where all is one. Right. I'm just going to see if I can tune into a possible future, which I have now done. Right. Put that in my pocket there. Craig Whitehead Khan, would you please in the comments mention a card for me? Come on, Craig Whitehead card. Any card you want. Playing card. These are playing cards. I should have pointed that out. Is he gone?
He's
I'm thinking about it.
There's sometimes about a 10-15 minute delay, Danny, between us speaking and here we go. King of Hearts. 15 seconds, sorry, not 15 minutes.
I don't have anything that time. I'm going to put his cards away.
King of Hearts.
Oh, you there? He is. King of Hearts, says he. Not you, Deborah Twist. You stand pat. Right. Craig Whitehead Khan says the King of Hearts. This is the weird thing. Craig, that card I put in my pocket earlier, I can remember it.
King of Hearts. Woohoo!
Now, did I that or did you, Craig Whitehead Khan? Or did you jump to a reality where that was the case?
Whoa!
I saw the live stream on here about the quantum jumping. Amazing.
That's magic.
Ah, excuse me, my friend. Ah! I'm sorry, don't get way to kill a moment with a bit of clowning.
Yeah. Well done. I always love to see card magic.
You know, it's all about perception and multiple realities. It's an interesting thing to look at.
Yeah, it is. I was working with a magician who you know the other day as well, and he was wowing the audience. And you know, I'm one of these. I don't want to know how it's done. I'd rather believe that it's an illusion, it's magic, because it spoils it when you know.
I mean, it comes from shamanism.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it comes from the idea of you go back into its roots. There are some very deep connections between theatrical conjuring and shamanism. To do with there's a guy called Jeff McBride. Have a look at him online. He sort of fudges the line between the two. Very interesting. Some nice documentaries about him. It's all good stuff.
It is. It absolutely is. I want I want you to talk about your podcast, your YouTube channel, and your Facebook groups, and anything else you want to.
Well, the podcast is in transition. I'm still trying to work out what all these things are, Dan. Do you know what I mean? And what works on what platform and stuff. And I've been very, very quiet about these matters. You know, I've done a lot of comedy things, but I've never really spoken about this side of my life for a couple of reasons. And one was, you know, when you do comedy clubs, they are wonderful people, but they're not really you know what I mean? They're not really interested in the new age. And some of them are, not that in fairness, but I just thought if I speak about these matters in public, I'm going to open the doors to relentless piss taking. You know what I mean? I'll be going to every green room I go into. Oh, here he is, iffy bollocks. You know what I mean? And if you put them jumps lately, but no, clearly I haven't. But now I don't give a toss. So, I mean, because this is transient, and we're a long time dead, and what does it matter anyway? I'm also thinking about. I've got some neurological issues, and there are other people with the same neurological issues, and I've got some things that would help them that they might not otherwise consider. And yeah, so I've started doing on YouTube channel now. I'm talking about these matters a little bit more, hopefully in an entertaining and funny way. I also do movie reviews and all sorts of other funny stuff, a little funny short bit that aren't related. I've just done a little series, for example, on Neville Goddard and his system of manifestation, his way of being in the world, his thing. And then I'm going to start talking about like Austin Spare, who I mentioned before. There's a name not many people know. I've got a load of Stephen stories, obviously. A lot of things that a lot of people don't know. There's an awful lot about him that people don't know because it's not in the books. It was events that I was witness to. You know what I mean? It's not written down anywhere. Things I saw him do.
Yeah.
You know. I want to share those. If I don't share those stories, they die out. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
If they stay in here and I don't share them with people, then those stories are never told. And they're good stories.
Plus, people learn better with humor. So when you're doing the principles, teaching, if you bring fun into it and laughter, it goes in much easier. It's not like a boring environment, you know, where someone's talking monotone and there's no dynamics there for can't feel it.
I once hung out with Eckhart Tolle.
Yeah.
I don't know how to pronounce his name. I should have asked him. That's what I should have asked him in the moment. And it was like it was simultaneous. It was beautiful. I mean, it was very peaceful.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he was just sitting there giggling away to himself. And it's like, you know, you go to this wonderful sort of peaceful, present state around him. It's quite contagious. But at the same time, it's like not much fun at a party. You know what I mean? It's like, I bet he's got some cracking stories. It's just the beginnings, the doing of the nowness. So the now is what it is, and we are in it now. And that. You spun that into 4 books, have you? Well done, Jesus. Nice work, you can get it, hey? Bloody hellfire. Like, you don't do a talk for an hour on this now, are you? And beautiful it is. I like to hear a story. I've got a couple of little things. I want to hear about what it's like. I want to hear the stories. How does this stuff work when you're in the shit? You know what I mean? That's the manifesting stories I want to know. When that gas bill hits and you're a couple of £100 short, where's your spiritual practice then? You know what I mean? It's fine when you're on stage with the flower and the lights. But what's your spirituality then when you get the unexpected right hand? When you've got to take your cat to the vet for the last time? You know what I mean? Yeah. How it is for people in the real world. And the stories are the best way of seeing that. Because I've seen these great people in real life, dealing with real life stuff. That's more interesting to me than the sort of version that's presented where it's all, you know, nobody's hair moves. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I know totally what you mean. You know, I used to meditate for 4 hours a day back in the day. And I thought I was all Zen-like, and then I moved to Canada with a lady who had 2 young kids, 10, 8 and 6. And that's when I realised I was I still had loads of buttons. I still had loads of frustrations and angers, and you know, because anybody can be Zen living on a mountain without any pressures. Yeah,
I went to a temple in Vietnam to see the Buddhist monks. And they're all sitting in these perfect lines, and they're all in jhanas. You know what a jhana is?
No.
So a jhana is, in Buddhist meditation practice, concentration leads to these states of mind that are called jhanas, and there are 8 of them. And you move up through them. They're different, and they're trippy as all hell. And they're very difficult to get into. I've gotten to the first 3 or 4, possibly 4. I'll do a video on how to do it, but it's work. It is work. So but once you're in a jhana, you're in this timeless state, which is where they were. So the talk, look at them all, they're in their timeless state. They've been doing this for 20 hours straight, and they'll sleep for a couple of hours, and they'll be doing 20 hours again. And I was like, well, do they do anything else? He went, oh, no, this is it, the highest attainment. And I'm like, this is not the highest attainment. This is spiritual bypassing. This is shutting the door on real life. If I could sit on a cushion for 20 hours a day and have someone bring me my tea and tell me how great I was, I would. But what good's this to me in the really real world? You know what I mean? This is escaping from life. This is meditation. Almost, it felt like meditation as heroin, because that's all they're doing. You know, they don't know what it's like to have a relationship and laugh and love, and then have that go wrong, and then heal, and then the next one comes up. They don't know. You know what I mean? It's almost like an escape from life, and I believe that practice should be a way to life. You know, do you know what I mean? There's a life, a massive life to be enjoyed, and you can go to Thailand and sit in a monastery your whole life. You'll miss all of it.
Exactly. You know? It's kind of missing the point of coming to Earth in the first place, isn't it? To have a physical experience. Yeah.
That's not to dash off Buddhist practice or to dash off the monastic life. You know, you also see Buddhist monks that are on their bikes in the town, spreading light, spreading love, helping, doing what they can, traveling. You know what I mean? These weren't that though. These were nutters. 20 hours a day for years, Dan, years.
Mm-hmm.
Growing old on the cushion. You know, that's not living life. That's something else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Story. So that's the whole point. I spiritual practice. You're meditating, and then getting into the real world. That's where it's done. That's where you get your buttons pushed. That's where you see the conditioning. That's when you know, it's all, you can be the Zen monk on the cushion. How are you when the guy cuts you off in traffic? You know, and then why is it when you cut somebody off in traffic, you're in a rush, it's an emergency. When somebody cuts you off in traffic, they're an arsehole.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You see that, oh right, no, we're all human beings, we're all, you know, there's always the stories all around us. Stories bumping into other stories. You know, everyone's hallucinating their own reality, and those hallucinations coalesce to create this bigger reality that we're all living in, the matrix, if you will. And the idea is to transcend that in life, not in a monastery, in life. To choose your responses, ultimately to knock over your Shiva statue and then put it up again and have no one notice. That's part of the thing. Literally, Shiva's dance. I love this thing.
Yeah.
And quiet little goose. But he knows.
Yeah, he does. He does.
God knows.
Yeah, we're coming up to the hour now.
Oh, that's a shame. I'll get into it then.
I mean,
Any questions from the floor? Is that the end of the thing?
Any questions? Any questions from the floor? It's covered by your name. Not sure what you mean by that, Craig. If anyone has any questions for Danny, any comments, any feedback, please pop them in the chat.
I did enjoyed it.
Yeah, have you enjoyed it? We've had plenty of...
The size of it. Look at all that floor space you've got there, Danny Green.
Oh, yeah, it's amazing what you can do with a green screen background. Yeah.
There's the real magic.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
So I've got a YouTube channel. If they all want to go and subscribe to that, I'll be very grateful. It's just my name.
Fun stuff with Buckles, exactly, Deb. Couldn't agree more. Teresa saying yes, very much. Thank you. Great stuff. Thanks, guys, from Craig. Thanks for being here. We've got we'll pop the links to your YouTube channel and
that's where all the spiritual type stuff is at the moment. So yeah, I do. I'm trying to do a couple of videos a week on these matters, and then I'll do the occasional comedy. Well, there's one about the DC comics as well, but that's not related to this. That's or is it? Is it not all one? But yeah, I'm trying to do a couple of sort of deep dives and meditation things and things you can practice and stuff.
yeah, I love the one you did about your experience with Tony Robbins' workshop back in the day. That was awesome. So that's well worth watching. Yes, well, they're all well worth watching, but that one is particularly notable. Yes, yeah.
Yeah, I've got loads of that. Yeah, I've done so many bloody. You do all these things. I travel all over the world, like looking at these things, and I don't want those stories to be lost. So I'm going to start. I haven't got anything to sell. It's all up there for now. You know what I mean? It's not like I'm trying to plug a thing. That's another thing. I have a thing about people that it's like they teach courses on manifesting. How do you make your money? It's like The Secret. I made my money with The Secret. Well, how did you do that? By teaching people about The Secret. All right. You know what I mean? But so it didn't actually work in life. You just put together a course and do you know what I mean? It's like I like listening to people that actually live it.
Yeah.
In real life, you know what I mean? And they've got something to share. That's why I like Neville Goddard so much. I mean, he was a contemporary of Alan Watts, and he never charged a penny for any of it because he used it. It worked for him. This mystical way that he was worked for him in actual life. So he was happy, content. He had money. So he gave away the teaching because it was for free. You could go along with him and speak for nothing. You were allowed to record it if you wanted to, which is why there's so many recordings of him. Mm-hmm. And all his books are out of copyright. Anyone can publish any of his books at any time. And believe me, they do. But they're all online for free. It's all out there for nothing because he lived that life. So he gave away the teaching.
Yeah.
That's admirable to me, that.
Oh, definitely.
He was an internet marketeer and is just trying to sell courses. You never arrive. It's like with Tony Robbins in that video. You never arrive. There's always an advanced course and another advanced course and another thing attached to a thing that leads to another thing. You never get a complete. Do you know what I mean? It's never done.
It's addiction. Yeah, that didn't do it. You need this for it to work, and then that didn't do it. There's a turnaround course. You need that now. Yeah.
Yeah.
It just makes the authors plenty of money and keeps their income coming in. And some people will travel the full journey with them. Other people fall away, then they'll get newbies in. And it's not for me.
You have a life before you start talking about these things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. I could be mistaken. I probably am, but I'm often wrong, Dan. But yeah. That's why I love Stephen so much because he lived it.
Yeah, he did, and his courses were affordable for everyone. He even gives stuff away for those who didn't have the means to pay for it. Yeah.
I saw this weird bloody thing online. It really upset me a little bit. It was I don't even know her name. I don't want to give her any light. I don't even know her name. But she was claiming that he was because he put all his courses together on a website, and now he's gone. His boys have done a thing whereby I think it's something like £20, not even, and you get the lot. Like 20 quid, you get hours and hours and hours of it. And she was claiming that he was coming to her on the astral realm and telling her he wasn't happy about this, which is made me furious. So are you telling me that my friend, the Taoist master, who passed over, I like to think he went like Uruguay in Kung Fu Panda, you know what I mean? That he kind of went, I know he died of a heart attack, but he seemed to go peacefully and happily. Are you telling me that now he's transcended this, that he is in the Tao, he is the Tao, he is completely realized. All questions are answered. The cosmos has unfolded before him because he is the cosmos. He and it are one happening that are co-joined, and there's nothing to fear because we were never born and we never die. And then you're telling me he's going to appear as a force ghost in your front room just to say, I'm happy about these courses being so cheap. Do you know what I mean? Nonsense. Nonsense.
Yeah.
I saw that and I got really marked. I thought, fuck you, Mutlow. Do you know what I mean? Well, he's not coming to you for a start, because he's not coming to anyone, because he's one with the all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where we're all going to end up. And why would he choose you over his own family? Even if he could, if he was going to do that, why would he go, you know what, I need to get my message out there. I could appear to anyone in the world, but I'm going to choose this mad cow and Barnet. Do you know what I mean? Like, to be my messenger. Nonsense.
Yeah.
But like, he's giving it away for nothing if he could. Like, those courses are now up there for like 20 quid. You can get the whole lot, and they are beautiful courses too.
Yeah,
Beautiful courses.
they are.
I have one among them.
Mm-hmm. No, you're right. And I've got them all as well, which is a gift, is parting gift to the world. Yeah.
And what a gift. These
Yeah.
are this. You know.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Anyway, Danny Buckler, you've been fantastic. Thank you very much for your time.
There you go.
And thank you to those watching. If you catch a replay, keep the chat going. Leave your comments, your questions, and we'll circle back. Much love to you all. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday evening or Sunday afternoon, whatever time zone you're on. Much love to you all, and bye for now.
Ta-ra.
Ta-ra.